So welcome to the second part of today's live stream. A few other important announcements that I would like to make, and then we can talk about the exam and then tackle your remaining questions. So the official course evaluation is open and it closes on the 18th of October. And I would like to tell you why it's important that you fill it in. So this is the second time I'm teaching this course, and last year's evaluation have been extremely important to me. Last year, I required students to learn Python before the start of the course. It wasn't part of the first week. Because students struggled with this, I integrated it in the course and reduced other stuff in the course. Can you imagine? The course was even bigger last time I taught it. I have reduced the workload by making the advanced tutorials all optional. So they're not part of the exam. And I allocated a lot of time, more time to the coaching sessions. And this is only because students have voiced concerns about how the course was going last time. They liked it, but then they voiced concerns, right? So I need to hear your honest opinion. And there are many people who are not in this stream right now who are also taking the course. And I also want to hear you. Why are you not here? Like, what's been going wrong? Like, are you happy with the course? Are you not happy with the course, right? I mean, I'm trying to teach you these skills, and yeah, I need to know whether it worked or not. I think it worked for many, but many students I just don't hear. So please fill in this survey. I think you're getting an invitation mail. Hilun, have you gotten an invitation mail to evaluate this course?
I did for a couple of courses, but I don't know if it was for this.
Yeah, maybe you can check, because otherwise I need to make sure that you still get it. Then another aspect is like course evaluations are important to the career of your teachers. Like if I hadn't been evaluated positively on my courses when I started out in Tilburg, I wouldn't be here because they would have fired me. This is not joking. This is true. Like I didn't have enough publications by the time that I went up, but I had won a teaching award based on the input of students. So that kind of rescued my neck. So it's important that you give due credits and to what we do and like give your feedback. Evaluating courses is one of those things that is really, really critical. So please, I will look at all of your comments, I promise, and I'll integrate those in the course as much as I can. And the scores, the numeric scores, they're most important. Thanks, Quentin, by the way. So please fill it in, take your time, and also show some respect in doing so. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then informal feedback. Actually, I'm curious to hear too, like how you like this course, live streams versus offline lectures. And I'm pausing the recording right now. Right, let's talk about the exam preparation for this course. And actually, all of that information is on the course page, and I want to go and walk you through those things and add some extra comments. Whenever you find things that are not clear, let me know. Mostly this is me reading the page, but sometimes, you know, I may like add that extra amount of detail that makes it good for you, right? So it's going to be on Tuesday. It's just going to be a 3-hour exam. We'll start at 9. We'll end at 12. Be on your computer a little earlier. Make sure to log in and these kind of things. There's going to be, the exam is going to be in test vision. So you can like follow, well, there's actually like a thing down here where you can familiarize yourself with test vision. If you have never taken a test vision exam, take practice test. And then you get like a fake practice test that kind of teaches you how this goes. All right. The reset is just in January. So make sure to pass this one because you're going to be out of this content a lot. So, you know, it would be great if you make it on your first attempt. On the day of the exam, like at 9 o'clock, you'll see this exam popping up in your Test Vision account. Okay, there's a link on this page and it directly takes you to Test Vision. Click on Serve Connect. And it takes you to your login site. And actually, I'm not like a student, so I can't log in, but you will be able to do so. If you can't log in for one reason or the other, you need to be in touch with me, either via email or via the WhatsApp. Okay, I'll be there during the exam on WhatsApp and via email to solve these queries. There's no point in sending emails to the student desk or anything. I won't be able to do anything because I'm administering this exam myself. You don't need to register for the exam. All students enrolled in this course can access it through Canvas. I only support you in unforeseen errors. If Chrome driver isn't installed, I will not help you because that is something that you should have done during this course. It's an open book take-home exam. So use the website, use the internet for whatever you can get. It's a mix of open and closed questions, but mostly open questions, just a few multiple choice questions, I guess. You can provide answers in writing, like you got to type your answer, or by means of like code uploads. Oh, Tone, yes, of course, Chrome driver is advanced material. I keep on forgetting. Yes, it is. But, you know, installing beautiful soup package or, you know, making, you know, starting up Jupyter, these kind of things, right? So most of the questions are personalized and you may not know that like a priori. So it can be like that questions are extremely similar. Actually, you have a different data set, different category to focus on, stuff like that. So and there's a code of honor in that you are not supposed to and allowed to talk to each other during the exam. So if you have your study group on WhatsApp, like just don't use it during the exam. That's kind of the code of honor in this. Okay, so what's the content? It's 2 parts, and one part is really tricky. The other one is more open, right? So the theory part, that is, you can actually work on this with the entire duration of the exam, but I targeted for you to work on it for about 45 minutes. It has personalized open and closed questions shown in random order, but you can't go back, right? And that's my way to make sure that you don't get the opportunity to cheat, because everybody sees different questions at different points in time during this exam. And once you proceed with answering a question, you will never be able to go back to the question that you've answered before, right? So I urge you work individually on this part, because otherwise you're going to screw it up, because you can't wait for answers even technically. So make sure that you're aware of this limitation, as in like going back between questions. Yeah, I mean, in like theory terms, I'll test your knowledge, your comprehension, and analysis skills. If you wonder what that is about, I'll explain that when I go through the example questions. Then there's a more open part, a practical part with personalized open questions. And there are 3 main things that you will do in this part. The theory part is, I mean, 45 minutes, you know, suppose there are 100, okay. We have 180 minutes on this exam. So this is going to be 45 divided by 180. And this part is going to be, you know, what is it? 120 plus 15, 135 divided by 180 approximately, right? So it's proportional to the time that I allocate on this. That was the question by Alexandra. I'm not sure. How many questions are there? I haven't finalized those questions. I think about 10 questions. About like that. So you got plenty of time to work on these questions, but you also need to be quick, right? So if you think you don't have to study for this exam, that's wrong, right? Because you got to know the fields of gold paper like very, very well, because most of the things are going to be focused on that, right? So like I give you a little thing, and yeah, like we'll go through the example questions real quick, and then you can shoot more questions. I was talking about the open, like the practical part. So there's 3 questions. Maybe like a little sub question here or there, but like 3 main tasks that you got to work on, like a small coding task, like parsing a JSON file, fixing errors and some scraping code, or running existing code and collecting the data that it's supposed to collect. Should take you about 20 minutes. Maybe just 10 minutes if you're quick. But you know, if you don't know how to run code, or if you've never heard about try and excepts, then fixing errors for you will be impossible probably. There's going to be a small essay question so that you can form a judgment. So for example, I give you a business problem and you need to come up with good like websites and APIs to scrape. Don't give me one, but argue like why, you know, I don't know, in certain dimensions, one makes more sense than the other, right? I could give you a scraping project description and you can evaluate whether I comply with the recommendations set out in Fields of Gold. I can tell you an efficient sample size for a particular study, and you need to tell me whether it makes sense or not using some, sample size calculations. And then there's a large coding task where you have to scrape data or use an API to retrieve data. That's probably going to take you 1 hour, 30 minutes, because you may have to do this from scratch if you're like pretty good and combining like building blocks that you've seen. If you got your skills down, you can do it in much less time. What I'm testing here is application skills, evaluation skills, and creation skills. I'll mention that in a bit. All tutorials are part of this exam, including the Python bootcamp in a way, because it has like try and accepts in there that may be relevant for debugging, but advanced web scraping and APIs are not relevant. I think the difference between Selenium and Beautiful Soup is, because that's part of the Fields of Gold paper, but I will not ask you to fire up Chrome driver and do some stuff in there. All right. So how can you prepare for the exam? I have example questions. All right. We're going to take a look at this now. So I just wrote them down yesterday. So part one, right? This is the part where you can't go back. Like, according to Fields of Gold, what are useful dimensions to distinguish websites when considering them for a scraping project? So what's your answer? Jeroen? Who? Okay, when you don't know the answer, try to make up one. Well, now you have the opportunity to actually open the paper, right? But that's going to break your neck because the timing is such that you can't look up all the answers. You need to have study for it, right? And we touched upon it today. Alexander, do you know the answer? It's all right, but all right. So primary data provider versus aggregator, right? Primary data provider is Netflix. Aggregator is Tracked, for example, right? Because tracks all of the services. Netflix just shows Netflix data. Other thing is like global availability versus just local availability, niche services, right? So WeChat is a primary data provider, but it's mostly used in China. So what I can get is more local, whereas other services may be more global in scope. Let's take YouTube, right? That's used in all of the countries, I guess, right? Maybe I'm wrong on this, right? These are two useful dimensions to distinguish websites. There may be others, and I will not count them wrong if I agree with your assessment, but these are the two things that I talk about in the paper. Comprehension question. What's the purpose of Beautiful Soup in the context of web scraping? What does it do? What do we do with the Beautiful Soup? Try it. Try answering this question.
It allows you to extract information from the website.
Yes, be a little more specific, please.
We use it to scrape the website and get the product classes and just get the specific information that we need.
Yes. So full points for Alexandra. Yes. So that's a good answer. Be specific. Don't just it's for data extraction. Yeah, duh. Web scraping is for data extraction. Really nail it down on that thing. So the second part of your answer was what I was hoping for. All right. Describe the difference between the two scraping philosophies when it comes to retrieving and storing data by means of web scraping, according to Fields of Gold. Who wants to try that one? Jeroen.
Well, I think the two differences were the one where you collect everything and then afterwards you think about what you want to use from the data.
Yes.
And the other one is already specifying what you want and maybe in that process leaving out other relevant information.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Full points. Good. And then second part, the small coding task, and I didn't put in code, but it's just an example, right? So please take a look at the code snippet below, which retrieves some data from an API. After running the code, you notice you get a series of non-200 responses. Modify the code so it runs smoothly and reliably retrieves data for 100 requests. And then you get a debug, right? Something obvious here is that it runs for the first 10 stuff, and then it gives you an error because you hit the retrieval limit. So something easy to do here is build in a timer and then explain why you did it. You know, these are obvious things. And other things that could happen is just like, I'm trying to extract something from a website, but the tag or the class name that I use doesn't work, and you got to correct the class name. Right? This is a little like, you need to know, you need to have your skills in place to be able to do this. So what are other errors that could happen in scraping? Generate them now, because one of those is going to be on the exam. I gave you two. Let's try accept. It's fixing class names or tags to get a data point. What are other things? What goes wrong in scraping? What could be a small coding task? Oh, I'll think about a few examples, but Jeroen, what went wrong when you did your stuff in the project? Timing is another thing. I just give a few examples. I'm not saying that it is going to be one of those, by the way, but I put some in the chat, but I'm just generating stuff because I still have to make that question. So yeah, give me some inspiration here.
Maybe getting the right function. For
Right
example,
function for what? Oh,
like,
whether
for
you get
example,
something
to
from
get
attributes
clicks.
versus, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it that?
Sorry?
Is it like whether you have to extract something from the attributes versus whether you get the text?
Yeah, we had the issues with that, so I don't know.
Yeah, I remember. Regular expressions is another one, taking a snippet from Science Hub and extracting certain things. Not more than what is asked from you from the Python bootcamp, but you know, it could be part from it. So have that notebook open. When I ask you questions, go through the Python notebook to kind of find like, what could you use if you don't know it? Right? Yeah, that's about that. The essay to form a judgment, like I give you an example data extraction plan, and you have to evaluate the feasibility. You know, go back here. What are the things that I ask, right? Recommend a website, evaluate terms and conditions, sample size calculation. So it's something about that, right? So here it could be an extraction plan, which is totally infeasible because the sample size just doesn't square up, you know, or because I log in with my personally created hannes@data.online or hannesdata.com email address, and I run it on my own laptop, 12 o'clock at midnight, and my data collection doesn't have any research purpose, but I just want to make money. How likely is this to like pass the ethical review board at Tilburg? Well, not, right? So that's something where you can form a judgment on. So again, read that relevant section in fields of gold. And then there's a large coding task where you got to write a web scraper or API. Please collect the product names and prices for all books listed in this section. Boom. Please not only list these variables, but also provide timestamps from the moment that you started your data collection. Submit your code as Python or IPython along with the collected data in CSV. So how you should prepare is you should have notebooks ready that you can use for scraping. I mean, that's how I would prepare for this, right? Your team project is one, but you know, have some templates ready that you can use when you want to start a project. And I think the ones that you can rely on are really the web scraping 101s. I mean, you just start from some code that you have here because, you know, it has all the code. That's how I would prepare for it. And a similar thing for APIs. And it can be one of both, or it can be a combination. It can be like a little scraping and a little bit of APIs. These things are individual. So if I was going to combine things, then it's going to be smaller in scope for each scraping and API. But I've seen, you know, some teams do it, right? Get something from Etsy via the API and then get something via scraping from Etsy too. Right? So, but let's see about it. So that's, these are my example questions. Any questions about those?
In the beginning, you said something about that you only answered specific questions and not about things that you had to install. And then you said something about a Chrome.
Yeah. Chrome driver is not part of it, and we excluded it, right? Because Chrome driver is about like installing Chrome driver, and that's part of advanced tutorials, which are not covered.
Yeah, because I was already thinking I haven't used Chrome in the whole year.
You don't have to use it. Sam.
I had a question about Hugo, I think it was. 'Cause
Oh
I
yeah,
still didn't manage to install it. I tried it a couple times, but
that's
is
for
that
deep
something
prep.
that might be
Let's
on
talk
the
about
exam?
it. Let's talk about it in deep prep, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that was for deep prep, actually. Never mind.
Yeah. Any other questions about this? What you can do too is make your own example questions and share those. You can share the document even with me, so maybe I pick a few of those questions. Like start from a combination of learning goals, like learning goals you'll find in the syllabus, like this is like kind of my ambition, what I wanted to teach you. And cognitive skills, like what I want to test. So there's an amazingly cool summary of Bloom's taxonomy that teaches you how I use this to generate my exams questions. So for example, the knowledge questions for this closed part likely starts with, can you explain what is happening if a Python package isn't installed, but you're trying to run scraping code? It's like, that's a stupid question, right? But like I use this to make up questions. So again, one of the learning goals, let me go back. One of the learning goals is transform semi-structured JSON data to structured data sets, parsing. So how can I turn this into an application question to use in a new situation? How could you convert data collected from an API stored in JSON files into a comma-separated value file? And then you say like, well, the process is called parsing. And like you could open the file and then parse it line for line by extracting attributes from the tree. That's how I would describe it. Right? But you can use this to make up your own questions, just because that way you can practice. Yeah, curious to send whether your question is good. Send it to us. And maybe it's even part of the exam. Good. Familiarize yourself with test vision, and then technical trips, really verify you can run your software on your computers. Know how to zip and unzip files, extremely important, because sometimes I ask you like submit your code and stuff, and you have to zip it because your file is too big, your data file is too big. So you need to be able to compress it, right? Mac users just like right click, compress, and Windows users need to have like an extra tool installed. 7-zip is my preferred tool. Make use of cheat sheets. Find them, print them out, like put them on your wall, and really revise your code before submission. I don't like notebooks that look like they just came out of like, I don't know, like a prototype. Look, have a little comment in there, and like after you've developed it and it works, save it, and then cut it down and make it look better, right? So that I immediately get what is in there. That's that. Any questions about it? Does it make it clear what is expected from you? Sam nods, that's good. All right. Thank you. So that's about it. It's the end of the course. The only thing that you have ahead of you is maybe finalizing the project, handing it in, and I'll answer your questions, Sabine, in a sec. So what I was going to say, what was I going to say? Okay, it's the end of the course. I'll see you guys later in a session for deep prep, most likely, but I still want to drive home my message, right? So probably one of the most valuable things that I started doing, although I wasn't fully aware of it, was asking my students to add me to LinkedIn. Well, now I have a list of like more than 1,000 students that I've been like fortunate to coach in these last years on my LinkedIn. And it's amazingly cool to stay in touch like this, to see what you guys doing and to see you advance your careers, but also to just stay in touch. Like, hey, shoot me a question if like something is up, or, I don't know, maybe you want to come back to Tilburg in the future for like a guest lecture and stuff. So right now, I can search for companies and connect you guys to one of my alumni who've been here 7 years ago, and that's useful. So please add me to LinkedIn. This is my page. I put it in the chat, so just like go there and add me. If you think you've really like have written the best exam, like ask me to write a recommendation for you. I'm generally open for this, but you should have some like good arguments of why you should do this. Stay in touch via WhatsApp. Like normally I'm very active when I teach, and then I like zone out a little bit and I'm a little less active on WhatsApp, right? And you can see me. I'm on campus mostly on Mondays, but like text me to see whether I'm in, if there's anything that you want to chat about. Tilburg Science Hub is growing strong, so we are looking for volunteers, but also RAs to join either Tilburg Science Hub or me as research assistants. If you have skills on machine learning, data engineering that you couldn't show off yet, be in touch. I'm curious to talk to you. Check out these links. Sabine asked a question about cheat sheets. Can you just have them open on your computer? Because with using test vision, the exam board may think you're cheating. So yes, you can have them open, and that's why I call my exam an open book take home exam. It is open book. It's not I'm Alexander and I'm talking to Sam because he may know the solution. It's not that. But what it is have your material there, write your own cheat sheets, see, like when you move out in practice, you have this material anyway. So there's no point in like kind of testing you for like remembering stuff only, but you need to apply these things. So, prepare the stuff that you want to prepare for this exam. Good preparation makes a good exam. Sylvia, does that answer your question? There's nobody, yeah. Does it answer your question, Sylvia? Sabine, sorry, Sylvia. Why did you say Sylvia? Yeah, sure, Sabine, sorry. Good. Any other questions, guys?
I have a question about the submission of the team project, because
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure that I got it. Should we also submit like an R file where we make like an analysis with the data that we collected?
Let me take a look at this. No, an analysis was never like part, but maybe there's like something in there. Right,
like
so,
the last thing.
Yeah. Well, see, suppose in the data set, in the README, you're saying we collected data on 50,000 products in this Etsy category. Then I would like to see a script that spits out that number. And that could be an R file.
Okay.
I don't want
but
you
no analysis, like actual analysis.
No. So maybe that's a little misleading. Look at this, right? Final source code used to generate statistics are inside documented in the README.
Okay.
That's all about it. And R Markdown is like a cool thing to use, I think, here, but it's up to you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? But then I'm ending this recording. Yes, Jeroen, is this a public question, or would you like me to?
Oh no, I just had a question about the thing that we spoke about earlier about the environment.
Oh yeah. I'm taking a look at this outside of the recording. So I'm finishing the recording. Thanks a bunch for being here. I'll post this on YouTube as quick as I can so other people can watch it too. Thanks so much. Like really thanks for this course. I really had a good time with you guys. And I hope I will be able to see many of you on campus for some interaction. That would be really cool. And maybe I see some of you as thesis students in the future. So thanks along. It was a good ride and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thanks a bunch.